Howdy, folks. In today's video, we are meeting with Auden and Gwen O'Reilly, and they're also South Africans. They live on the other side of the country, though. What's it, Toronto? Where are you guys?
Oakville, Ontario.
Oakville. Oh, there's a
Yeah,
lot of South Africans in Oakville, I've heard.
we know.
We know. Yeah.
Brilliant. Anyway, so we're going to talk to Auden and Gwen about, their journey here and what they do. They're actually very involved in the South African community. They help out. They run a bunch of Facebook groups and communities. They help out with finances. And Gwen, I think you work with repatriating money and stuff
Yes,
like
that
that.
is correct. That is
All right.
correct.
But let's kick it off. How long have you been in Canada and what made you decide to move here?
So I think before we get to the point where we got to Canada, so a little bit about us. So Auden and I met in 2018 in
Yeah.
Johannesburg. We may have different versions about how we met and who introduced us and all of that. But got married 7 months later,
Wow.
and we were, yes, wow.
Auden's
Um,
also moves fast. Now you beat me, my wife.
that's another thing we differ on.
Yeah. So we actually decided we're gonna get married, and then we got married the next week.
Yes,
Oh, wow.
yes,
Nice.
Yeah.
yes, yes. It worked out. Because here we are, almost 7 years later. And then we were, yes, 7 years. That's why I'm the accountant. So we were just fortunate enough that we both worked for global companies at that time. And we got jobs with our companies and then transferred here in March 2019. So we're coming up 6 years that we're in Canada now. So
Nice.
we just, yeah, we just decided to take a chance, have an adventure, and here we
Well,
are.
it sounds like a
Canada was
very,
never on the sorry, Canada was never on the cards. We
yeah.
we just happened. We were fortunate enough to have, received these opportunities,
Mm.
and it was a matter of, okay, let's just take a
Go for it.
gamble, pack our bags, reduce everything to a couple of suitcases, and start from scratch. And
And it fell into place very quickly. Like in a
mm,
month, we had work permits. And when opportunities like that come up and things just fall into place, you just have to know
Just
that it
got to
must
go
be
with
right.
it, right?
But yeah, exactly.
But it
Exactly.
sounds actually really amazing. I mean, you guys met each other very quickly, got married very quickly. Opportunity came up and you jumped for it. That's so exciting.
that's what they said.
I thought I had the record because I got my Belinda to marry me within a year. But anyway.
Wow. Okay. We
Okay,
met
so
and got married all in the same year.
amazing. Anyway, so this is a little side issue. How did you meet?
So my friend, my best friend who lives in Houston, actually one day was just talking to Auden about me. Um, I had just been through a rough patch, and Auden reached out, and he became my best friend. And anybody that knows Auden has a heart of gold. Um, and he was just
Saying all the
there for
right
me.
things, eh?
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, we just
Yeah.
clicked. At first, it was like, do I speak to this guy? And then we spoke.
Well,
And hours later, it just worked out.
It was my voice. I said, hello.
nice
And
one.
she was like,
Yes, that's
okay, there you
that's true.
go. It's fine.
But you know what? Um, if you meant for somebody, you meant for somebody. And if you meet them, you know immediately. It's the same. I met Belinda on a blind date and we literally, I actually had another girlfriend and I kind of, went on this date and then, because it's for a client of mine. And then I was like, okay, this is the one. This
This
is
is
my
yes.
wife. End of the story. Amazing. All right. So anyway, so you moved to Canada in 2018,
19. 19.
2019,
Yeah.
but you came through with your companies. And are you still with the companies that you came through with, or did you move on?
Yeah. Auden's not. He can tell you about that. I'm still happily with my company.
Nice.
Yeah.
Auden, what did you decided to get involved in?
Oh, yeah. So I was with I transferred with Kellogg's. Kellogg's for me was phenomenal. I got to travel very extensively with them, and came to Canada, had a short stint with them before I was approached by this company that I'm running my business through now, Edward Jones. It made sense. We looked at it, we weighed out the options, we crunched the numbers, and it was an offer that I couldn't really refuse, right? It was an opportunity to do something that I really, was passionate about and wanted to explore. And that's how I ended up here.
Okay. Excellent. And why did you guys choose Toronto? Well, obviously your jobs were there. Is that why you went there?
Yes.
And
Yes,
you're still
both
happy?
Primary reason.
Yeah.
Pardon?
You're still happy in Oakville out that side. It does get very cold there. Sorry, I'm in Vancouver. Yeah, it doesn't get that cold.
We're about to experience a storm, I think,
Yeah.
any moment.
I'm just
Oh.
waiting to hear if we need to pick up our daughter from school.
Ay, ay, ay. How many kids have you got?
We have two.
Two
Two
girls.
kids.
Yep.
Nice. Two girls. Oh,
Yes.
wow, Dad. Nice one. All right, so let's move on a little bit. And you guys are very involved in the South African communities there. You run a couple of Facebook groups and you run a couple of groups. What are they, and how did you start that, and why are you involved in that?
Yeah, look, by chance, right? With some other people, I run or I help to run the South Africans in Toronto Facebook page, the South Africans in Canada Facebook page, and then we have some other Facebook pages, some networking and referral groups that I also run and manage. This was, when we came to Canada, it was not a long time after that we were in a lockdown, right?
Yeah.
And that meant no contact. So in order to, network, meet people virtually, that was one of the avenues, and that became a tool for us to, really integrate ourselves in our networks and our communities. And that's how I ended up, being part of all of these networks and these groups.
Okay. Excellent. I mean, that's amazing. Okay, so did you start the groups, or did you just kind of join and help out and volunteer and got involved?
Correct. And then like the Oakville referral network I started and things like that. So some I inherited, some I started.
Okay, brilliant.
Yeah.
Excellent. It is so important though. I think it's something that a lot of people don't understand is when you arrive over here, you don't have a network. You don't have the people that always used to be, the people that you could call on, or the people that you could just chat to if you needed to chat to somebody and ask stupid questions. Sometimes you need to ask a stupid question and you need to have somebody that's going to understand. So I guess that's why it's amazing that there's so many people that are helping with all these groups and doing stuff like that. Really
Absolutely.
awesome. All right. So now, what was your biggest culture shock when you arrived here? What was the thing? Was there something, or what was the thing that was the weirdest for
I'm
you?
still going through shock. Yeah, for me, one of the biggest culture shocks for me was work ethic, right?
Yeah.
And I got to just be very careful about how I use my words here. But for me, working in an environment where, you get answers like, it's not my job, or it's not my job description, or, where people come in at 9 and they leave at 4 and we work in silos. That for me, I found very difficult.
Very different.
Very difficult to collaborate, to build a team with, to get things done. That for me was a big culture shock, because we come from environments where if there's a deadline, everybody's, coming together to make sure that we meet these deadlines and stuff. And for me, I was quite surprised to see how relaxed, the corporate environment was here in this country. That for me was the biggest one amongst,
A bunch of others, but yeah, indeed. It's like when the guy comes in and he starts fixing the holes in the wall and he leaves and you go, aren't you going to paint it? And he's no, there's another guy coming to do the painting. It's like, well,
Yes,
Africa,
exactly.
we do everything, right? We just get the job done. And you,
Yeah.
Well, fortunately, my company that I work for is South African based. So, except for a few incidents, I guess I see the South African culture and coming into the work environment, which I like.
yeah,
Um, but I think the differences I found was obviously the weather,
oh yeah, of course.
very big difference. A lot of things were different. Food was different. Relationships were different. I know that at back home, some of your best friends came from your work space,
Yeah,
and I find here everybody is very reserved, I would say. You work and then you go home and you don't have contact at all. Whereas back home it was a bit different.
yeah.
You still hung out with those people on the weekends.
True
And I
that.
think it was very different from and maybe one of the hard parts, like you meet, you talk about having friends and meeting people, and that was one of the difficult parts, leaving the friends that you grew up with, and I'm not just saying like in your childhood, but friends that you've actually experienced life with, those friends that you don't have to explain yourself to. It was hard leaving that and then trying to find your people here.
That is so true. I mean, that is such a big thing. Like you guys are still a little bit closer to South Africa where we are in Vancouver. I mean, it's always by the time I get to speak to my best friend in South Africa, he's had a few beers and it's my morning, so we are not on the same wavelength. And by the time he gets to speak to me the other way around, it's the same problem. It's just
Yeah.
like very far removed. Okay, so just a little bit more about what you do. Auden, you are with
So I'm
as a
with Edward
company,
Jones. I'm with
Edward
Edward
Jones.
Jones. I run my business through Edward Jones, through the umbrella of Edward Jones. I'm a financial advisor. That's my primary function. I help a lot of South Africans, not only South Africans, Canadian and other nationalities as well, with a lot of really depends on what they want, from intricate planning to investments, insurance, a lot of I don't know what words to use here. I'm getting a little bit stumped. Um, you're gonna have
Don't
to
worry
edit
about
that. You're gonna have to edit that out.
it.
So yeah, so I'm the financial advisor. I help a lot of people across Canada with their financial plans to help them navigate the financial landscape in Canada. What I find, or what our data shows us, is that the average household that is arriving in Canada is between the ages of 35 and 42. And most of them, and specifically these people in this group, when they arrive here, they're coming with two children. They tend to cash up all of their investments, sell their houses, transfer all their money across, which by the time when you convert it, it isn't much.
Yeah,
And then they starting off from scratch. And when they start off from scratch, let's say, for example, if they're at the age of 40, they still need to save enough money to fund their children's education here, which can be very expensive. They need to pay off debt. They need to live, have experiences. They need to buy a house. They need to pay off that house within 25 years before retirement. And in this 25 years, they need to still save enough money to last them in their retirement up to age 95, which is average life expectancy age in Canada. And unfortunately, a lot of people are going to find this very difficult.
of course.
And some of them, if they're not coming with a lot of resources or assets, they're not going to make it. And we've seen it, have seen lots of South Africans, not only South Africans, have to go back. And the sad thing is that when these individuals go back, they go back to nothing because they've already spent all of their money. They've already, some of them try to find jobs and don't land the positions that they were expecting. A lot of them go through things like depression, marital issues, and so forth. And this is where we come into play. What we do is we can plot with our financial planning tools and our software. We can project how far somebody's money is expected to last them. And we can project roughly when you are expected to run out of money, if you are even expected to run out of money. And by doing things like this, we can help you to shift the risk, to cover that risk, to close the gap. And that's what we do for a lot of people. Now, most of our clients, or my clients are Gwen's, and Gwen's clients are mine. We kind of support each other's businesses. And a lot of the times, the tax part of the tax side of the business, which is what Gwen will talk about now, complements what I do.
Of course.
Yeah. So that in a nutshell is what we do.
It's a big nutshell, Auden.
it gets a little bit more evolved than that, but
No,
obviously for compliance reasons, I gotta really watch what I say.
Of course. And of course, the thing that people got to keep in mind is that yeah, when you do arrive here, you're not coming in on the same level with the same money that you had over there. You could, I mean, your millions in South Africa turns into a couple of 100,000 over here. And then, you know, I always tell people when we had a house in the US, just a simple example. I mean, we had a house in the US, which we sold before we moved to Canada. Our house in the US was a 3-story, 5-bedroom house with an elevator, and we sold it for $250,000 when we left.
Wow.
Then we got to Canada, to Vancouver, and we like, okay, for the money we got there, okay, it was 250,000 US, so it was, what's it, like 300 and something thousand Canadian at that stage. We literally cannot buy a parking spot in Vancouver.
We know.
So I can see that there's a big need to actually really plan and be careful with your money when you come over, right?
Absolutely.
Wonderful. And Gwen, what do you do?
So I'm a financial analyst with a pharmaceutical company, Aspen Pharmacare. And as I said, very happy with my employer, especially since it's South African based. But closer to my heart is Maslow Pro. So I am a chartered accountant in both Canada and South Africa, and a tax practitioner across both countries as well. So I've been in the finance industry for more than 15 years, without giving away my age. For a long time, been helping people, organizations, with tax matters and so forth. But we officially gave Maslow Pro a name in 2020. So we were all indoors with COVID, new to Canada, hadn't met people, but we became aware of a need for a company such as this. So in addition to the COVID fears, there was a lot of fear around finances, as Auden discussed. And I mean, I think going back to your question about cultural shock, or any shock for that matter, I personally had no idea how expensive things were on the side.
Oh, yeah.
And I think what we focused on, or why we came up with Maslow Pro, was to help fellow South Africans navigate the complexities of moving between South Africa and Canada. I mean, the motto of our company is propel, prosper, protect, you know, and it's all in the name of making the financial journey to Canada easier on couples, on families, you know, helping them navigate this new world while protecting their wealth, ensuring that, you know, in the whole process, they are adhering to the different regulations from South Africa and Canada side as well. But also having that personal relationship with our clients, right? So the services we offer are a wide range of services, tax returns across both countries, disputes with the revenue agencies. But one of the major parts of our business is the tax and financial immigration side of things. And it's helping people navigate that aspect without, like, it, and it's every situation is different, right? And in building relationships, it's good to understand the different clients that come to us and their different needs, and try to eliminate that fear by guiding them, providing proper guidance on the routes that they should take, and not just scaring people into, taking certain decisions, but just helping alleviate all that
Can,
pressure.
can, can, can I just say a little bit more bluntly? There are those people those financial companies who claim to be global, and the other ones who claim to rescue your rands and so forth, who have been taking our community for a massive ride. And that's one of the reasons that we also established, or my wife established this, was because we found that people were just being charged exorbitant amounts of money for simple services, like thousands and thousands of rand. People who didn't need to carry out certain processes were scared into doing so. People who were retired, late retirement, one guy just passed away, were forced to fork out money to do things that were not relevant, all in the sake of another companies or other companies that infiltrated our community trying to make a quick buck. And that is when we decided, okay, because we are working with these people, because we are working with newcomers in our network, how else can we help them or protect them so that they don't get or fall into the same scare trap that others have been?
Because every cent counts when you come to Canada. I mean,
Oh yeah,
that, right?
of course. And you're so right. The problem is there's always vultures out there. It was so I remember when we arrived here the first year, we did our personal taxes. Now, I mean, we were salaried employees. So we did our personal taxes, and we got some Russian lady accountant that did the taxes, and she charged us almost $2,000 to do our personal taxes. The next year I did it on Wealth Simple for $20, but it's like, and I did it better than her because I actually took the time to capture all of the stuff that I could claim back. But so that is an important thing. It's like speak to people that understand what you've been through and that understands the importance of getting it right, and that's not there to just make money. I guess that's the main thing. No, that's brilliant. I'm glad that you guys are doing that. It sounds amazing. So let's get back away from business just as a last little bit. What's the one thing from South Africa you wish you could bring to Canada? That's a random question. Or the one thing in South Africa that you wish they would get going in Canada?
That's a hard one to choose.
It is.
Oh, there's so many, I mean, I really wish they would up the speed limits. I'm just joking. Yeah, I mean, it's food for me is a big one. I mean, we are both really good cooks, I think, self-proclaimed.
I know Auden is.
But oh man, if somebody could just open an ocean basket somewhere here or a Jimmy's killer prawns, I'd be so happy.
Yeah, I must say, I got to agree with you. I oftentimes look at some of the foods here, especially at events and stuff, and it's like,
can you give me 1 second? I'll be back.
No worries. Give me a second. It's like people don't try really hard, right? They just
yes. There's I don't know. There's so many things I want to say. I wish I could bring my extended family.
Oh, cool.
And my friends. I miss my friends a lot.
Yeah, that's the hard part. It is always when you like, I think for a lot of people that's a big one, is the like, okay, well, I'm here now. And I mean that's one of the things we want to try and do with the South African Institute and with the communities and everything, is to help people find that other new connections.
Yeah.
It's like Foster from Netflix said, hello. It's like Foster from Netflix said, I was chatting to him, also a great guy. And he said, well, we left our family back in South Africa, so we need to find a new family over here.
True.
and that's what we got to do, I mean, not going to replace the other family, but we still need to find our new connections, and that's what it's
and I think that's where like things like Facebook groups and things come in handy.
Very
I
nice.
personally haven't but prior to coming to Canada, I wasn't really involved in any Facebook groups or WhatsApp groups and things like that. And I think it's important. I was just speaking to a friend the other day that um, how important it is to actually push yourself out of your comfort zone to find those friends.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, it's for myself as well to actually do that.
And
And then as
something,
cliched as it sounds, I mean, now we have our kids here, we're here together. So this is home, I guess, wherever we are,
it is
wherever we
home, really.
go, that's all you need to take with you.
Really, it is. The interesting thing is something that I also try and force myself to do regularly is talk about comfort zone. You know, we've got my wife and my kids and everybody
Yes.
over here, and we just connect. And you know, it's like it is your new home, and you carry on. But what I do is I try at least once a week to just go through my phone book and just go and speak to people that I haven't spoken to for a long
In a
time
while.
back in
Yeah.
South Africa. You know, just send
Yes.
them a message and just say, how's it? Because that is also something that you can disconnect because we're so far away. I guess it's easy to disconnect from
Yes.
the people back home. You know, I haven't spoken to
Mm.
my sister for a month or 2 months, and I'm like, oh wow, that's not cool. I need to
That's not. I speak to my sister very often.
you know, so yeah, there's definitely things like that we need to do. I think one of the things I wish they would get together in Canada on a commercial side is like, can you just make it so that the price you see is the price you pay
Yes.
when you
Yes.
walk into a store? If it says the Coke is $1 and I get to the till, let me pay $1, not like freaking
I know.
dollar plus carbon tax and this and GST.
Say hello.
Hello. Ooh,
This is Liliana.
hello. What's her name?
Liliana.
Liliana. Oh, beautiful.
Liliana.
Oh, they're so amazing when they're that age.
Yes, very.
Anyways, folks, I think we are
Thank you.
on we're doing this on Zoom, and I think my Zoom has got like a 40-minute thing, so we need to catch it up.
No
Is
worries.
there anything else, any other advice that you would like to give South Africans that have just arrived in Canada, or you know, any newcomers really? What are the things that you got to look out for? It could be personal stuff, it could be business, it could be financial, you know, anything that you think people must know, they must look out for.
For me, I think to start is just to let everybody know that no question is silly. Just ask the question. I mean, there's so many coming to a new country, there's so many different things to learn, and everything is new. So just ask questions. You never know who else might be struggling with the same question, or somebody may have just been through the process and would be able to guide you. So for me, that's my advice, just ask the question.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we have good networks, we have good groups. Integrate, get out there, meet people if that's your thing. I know there are people who come across and don't want to be, involved with much and want to operate solo, but we have a wealth of resources within our communities. We have everything from doctors to lawyers,
Mm.
accountants. It goes on, and it's not only in Ontario but across Canada. And so, if people are interested in anything that we have discussed today, they're welcome to reach out to us directly. Gwen's website is maslow.pro. They can go there if they need anything from a tax financial point of view. And also, if people want, to find out more about different things like moms groups or other networking groups, they're welcome to reach out to us. There's a bit too much to talk about in one session with all the different activities that go on.
100%. Thank you very much. Yeah, we'll put the links in the description of the video
Thanks.
for you guys. Definitely. I think you're 100% right. It's something that we have to tap into and that we have to strengthen as our community, as a South African community. And I mean, it's not. Sometimes people go, yeah, you're trying to create a little South Africa in Canada. No, that's not at all. We just want to create a community where we actually, where we can tap into people that we know and understand and use them and their connections to fit better into the whole, to integrate into Canada and become Canadians. I mean, yes, I'm a Canadian. This is my home. I love Canada. It's great. But my roots are still South Africa, you know.
Yeah.
And I did spend 50 odd years speaking to South Africans and dealing with South Africans. So, you know, it's ingrained in me, our ways and our things. So, yeah, I think that's a very important one, as we do need to connect with the communities, and no question is stupid. That's just crazy. You know, that's brilliant advice. All right, guys. Thank you very much. Thanks for joining me, and I'm sure we'll talk to you again on lots of different platforms. So,
Yep.
being as
Absolutely.
involved as you are in the SA communities, it's amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.